Again, music fans, I am back here to do one of these lists videos, which are almost obligatory, if you have a music collection channel, like many of us do, and many of us have made those lists. Of course, I wanted to do the list of my favorite albums of all time, but that is very daunting, so I'm going to break it up by decades, starting with the 70s, then the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s and 2010s. I might group them together into one. But let's start now with my favorite hard rock and heavy metal albums of the 1970s. And all of these are going to be pretty obvious choices, I'm afraid. But what can you do? These albums are classics for a reason. So I'm not going to start with, I'm not going to do the least favorite to most favorite, where the last one is my most favorite. I'm just going to go in more or less chronological order since they were released, starting with 1970 and ending in 79. Okay, though this one I believe was released in 71, which is of course Led Zeppelin 4, also called Untitled or Four Symbols. Everything here you've already heard a million times, especially the last track of side one, which is Stairway to Heaven. Okay, but the rest, When the Levee Breaks, The Battle of Evermore, Rock and Roll, Black Dog, overplayed, possibly, yes, I will agree with that, but still a classic. Then we go to a couple of albums that, in fact, I do not own physically, but I do have all of the songs, and I'm just gonna put the cover over here on the side. The first one, of course, being Deep Purple, Machine Head. Okay, so this one has everything you might need from a Deep Purple, and a lot of their greatest hits. And I do have all of these songs in in other in either compilation albums or live albums. So even though I don't have the album itself, I do have the songs. Likewise with my next pick, which is Uriah Heep, The Magician's Birthday. All right. I was almost going to go with Demons and Wizards, which I do have physically, okay? But by a hair, I'll go with The Magician's Birthday. Great Roger Dean cover. The track listing is really good. This one might be the softest one, the less hard rocking of all the ones on this list. Okay, so after that one, we go with Sabbath, Black Sabbath with Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. Okay, I could have gone with Sabotage or Black Sabbath Volume 4. This one is a bit better in my opinion. Okay, starting with that fantastic title track, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, which is one of their best songs ever. And the curious thing here is that the rest of the tracks here are kind of almost deep cuts, but they're all really good. A National Acrobat, Sabracadabra, Spiral Architect. A lot of things to discover here. Sabbath getting a little bit proggy here, incorporating Rick Wakeman's keyboards in a few songs. Love that cover also. With Blue Oyster Cult, Secret Treaties. You just cannot go wrong with this one. All right. Career of Evil, Dominance of Submission, Harvester of Ice, Flaming Telepaths, fantastic stuff. Great cover too. And back cover. After this, we'll go with one of my favorite bands, Kiss, Rock and Roll Over. I love all of the 70s Kiss output, but I think this is where they really hit their stride and made a fantastic album, top to bottom. I do love Destroyer and Love Gun, but by a little bit more, I'll go with Rock and Roll Over. And this is the best cover they ever did, in my opinion. And one of the best covers in rock and roll. The next one is going to be a no surprise, which would be a Rainbow Rising, okay? Everybody's favorite Rainbow album, unless you're Martin Popoff, I think his favorite Brave album is Down to Earth. Very puzzling. But anyway, fantastic stuff, start to finish. The beginning of power metal, also in my opinion, right there. And Ronnie James Dio's Finest Hour. Now we go with Rush, 2112. All of their 70s stuff is great, but I think this is the most hard rocking one of all. And this was my first Rush album as well, and it was I found it a very challenging listen at first, with 2112 Sweet, but the rest of the album, which would be side 2, is really great too. Passage to Bangkok, Twilight Zone, that eerie song, Lessons, even the ballad Tears, and ending with Something for Nothing. Great stuff here, 2112. I really have to get this one remastered also, for a better sound. This is the original, my CD pressing. And one which I'm kind of cheating here because I said I was going to make the list with only one album per band. And this is technically a solo album, but also within the context of the group because it has the logo on it. That's Ace Frehley by Ace Frehley. Here, the best of the solo albums. Everybody pretty much agrees. I think Paul Stanley's solo album is really, really good as well. By a little bit, I prefer Aces. Okay, Rip It Out, Speeding Back My Baby, Ozone, and also the great instrumental Fractured Mirror. Ace Frehley's Finest Hour. It is a shame that he never got into this headspace again. To really put out another album at least half of this caliber. Ace Frehley, Ace Frehley. We're ending now for the 10 best hard rock heavy metal albums of the 70s with a true classic, Judas Priest, Stained Class. Okay, most of Judas Priest's output in the 70s is fantastic, but this one really is a masterpiece. Okay, Exciter, White Heat, Red Hot, Saints in Hell, Beyond the Realms of Death. Really cool stuff. Odd cover, but I like it. There we go. My 10 favorite, as of now, hard rock and heavy metal albums of the 70s. Next installment will be those of the 80s, and which is going to be a bit more difficult, because we all know how much great hard rock and metal came out in that decade. But for now, that's it for this list. Thank you very much for watching. Keep rocking.